A new era of Canadian football has begun, as Mauro Biello has ushered in his new era of Canadian football and his new side, as he has completely changed the face of this Canadian national team and truly put a stamp on what he believes this side is set up best to be. And he's finally selected players who are on form. But with that meaning, he has brought in his new side. He has completely changed the face of his team and pulling out all those veterans and all those older heads that a lot of supporters have been crying out to be left out for some time, with the likes of Junior Hoylett, Lucas Cavallini, Stephen Vittoria, and Milan Boyan, all being left off this side and all being left off this roster, going into an all-important and one of the biggest matches in Canadian football history, at least in my lifetime outside of the World Cup, against Trinidad and Tobago to set for a qualifier for the Copa America. Biello is truly putting his head out there on the line and really trying to place his name on this job. But with those old heads leaving, with this new generation, this new Biello squad, it means a new captain has entered the building. And there were some rumors that this might have been chosen on match day or morning of the match day, that it might have been chosen the day before. But this match was very important, and Biello has apparently already chosen his captain, as it was broken yesterday through TSN's Matthew Shinetti that Canada has their new captain, and it has been selected to be Stephen Eustáquio. As Matthew Shinetti tweeted this yesterday, saying, quote, multiple sources tell TSN Sports that Mauro Biello has decided to hand the captain's armband to Stephen Eustáquio for this Saturday's Copa America playoff against Trinidad and Tobago. That is, of course, guys, going to be set for March 23rd at 4 p.m. in Texas at Toyota Stadium. And this might be the most important game in my lifetime outside of the World Cup, and one of the most exciting games I'm set to watch as a Canadian supporter. This match is huge. A qualifier against Trinidad and Tobago. Some fans might look at this as a pushover. Some fans might look at Trinidad and Tobago not having any true stars. But they have some players that can truly hurt Canada if we are not fully prepared and if we are not switched on. Canada should have won it against Jamaica and should have advanced, but we weren't switched on for the full 90, and this is a chance for Mauro Biello to go out and put this Trinidad and Tobago side to the fences and absolutely staple his name to the job for the Canadian national side. But he has finally named that captain, that all-important choice. There were so many speculations about who it might be, whether it was Alphonso Davies, whether it was Alistair Johnston, whether it was Jonathan Osorio, and those would have all been great choices in my opinion. But we don't know what goes on behind a locker room. We don't know what goes on in those team huddles that we remember of Milan Boyan taking the team in and shouting and giving his speech before the match. We don't know who carries that side outside of the locker room, outside of the pitch, who holds that team together. But we do know who holds that team together on the pitch with his quality, with his mentality, with his passion. And that man is Stephen Eustáquio. Every time you watch the Canadian national team, you can see a player who leaves his true passion, who leaves everything out of the pitch, and it's Stephen Eustáquio. I'm not saying he's the only one, because I can go through this list of players and through that roster and probably name them all who can leave it all out in the pitch, and some who do it completely more than others almost at times. But Stephen Eustáquio, for me, was the one I wanted to see named as captain. Stephen Eustáquio has the experience, and he's playing at a Tier 1 league, and he is playing at the top level. Albeit he's going through a rough patch of form right now with FC Porto, being left out of the starting 11 for far too much more times than I would like to see as a Canadian supporter and content creator. But this is arguably our best and most important player in Stephen Eustáquio. Yes, he's not our number one player ahead of Alphonso Davies or Jonathan David, but he is our most important player. And I mean that because he plays in our weakest position. Outside of Ismail Kone, whose kit I'm wearing for going to the match, and Stephen Eustáquio, that midfield is extremely weak. And Stephen Eustáquio holds that midfield together for Canada like glue. And he has done it on so many different occasions, having 34 appearances for our Canadian national side, being there for some important and some massive matches. but having 4 goals in 34 appearances at the age of 27, he is a captain that can be built around Mauro Biello's generation of football, and he can be a captain that takes this side to the World Cup. And he can also be a captain that goes with Canada post-World Cup. He is at 27 years old. He is not that aging. Playing at the heart of the midfield, he can play as an 8. He can move further up the pitch to provide goals and assists. And he can even drop back and play the 6, as he will do more than likely as he ages for this national side. But even bringing in a new manager, they can look at Stephen Eustáquio and immediately see a leader. They can see a player who's playing in a top league. They can see a player who has been through so many rough patches, fighting through an injury last season to come through and play for a huge Porto side, and is still putting up great numbers for his FC Porto side. Even though he's at a rough patch coming off the bench lately, he has still produced great numbers. And Stephen Eustáquio is a player that a manager can rely on the pitch. You can see it in matches where he leaves everything out on the pitch. There's the passion, there's the push to go get more and to win matches and to show that this Canada team is more than it is. And you can remember just when Canada beat Jamaica to put us through to the World Cup, when he played that ball through to Kyle Larin to win, to really push us through to the World Cup, and Kyle Larin scored that goal. But you just remember that camera panning to Stephen Eustáquio with his assist and that his face sounding with excitement, with passion, with joy from that assist, from that ball he played for that Canadian goal. And it was also important seeing the passion from the national side, from the passion from our team, because that is what every supporter wants to see. Their side playing with the excitement, with the passion, to leave everything out in the field, because that's what we would all do if we got to play for this side. And Stephen Eustáquio is absolutely a player like that, and you can see it every time he gets on this pitch. But before we wrap up this video, I just got to talk about the other Canadian national team players who were candidates for this job. Of course, the clear out and out one is Alphonso Davies. Alphonso Davies being, of course, the clear best player in this national team, one of the best players in the world, and arguably the best left back in world football. But is Alphonso Davies captain material? I personally don't know. We don't know, like I said, how he is behind the scenes, how he is in the locker room. And for me, Alphonso Davies is a brilliant footballer. Don't take anything against him. But what you see from Stephen Eustáquio on the field, I think is so much more important than what you get from some players around the pitch. And Alphonso Davies is a player who can sometimes go the full 90, and depending on the manager, will go the full 90. But Stephen Eustáquio is a player you don't want to take off the pitch throughout the entire match, whether it's his delivery into the box, whether it's his set pieces, whether it's just playing that final killer ball. And having your captain on the pitch throughout the entire 90 is also important. And Alphonso Davies can get subbed off for Liam Millar, can get subbed off, for instance, from certain players. I'm not saying he will get subbed off. I'm just saying there's more potential probably for Alphonso Davies to get subbed off, and I'm just not sure how he is in the locker room. But Alphonso Davies, of course, a clear candidate to be one of your captains alongside Stephen Eustáquio, and especially to go further into the years. And another player who was speculated was Alistair Johnston. Alistair Johnston is especially someone you can see who leaves it all on the pitch. He has a passion, he has the drive, he leaves it all out there for the badge and for the Maple Leaf. And I could really see him going forward, maybe getting that captaincy as well, because we have seen in the past with John Herdman, Milan Boyan wore the badge, Atiba Hutchinson got it. We saw Steven Vittoria, I'm pretty sure, wore it a few times. So we could have 3 players. You never know, depending on if they're fit, available, wearing the armband, no matter the situation, potentially as well. One of them could be the players. But the other one I'm quite surprised by that everyone may be kind of tipped to get it was Jonathan Osorio. I expected Jonathan Osorio to take that armband. I expected Mauro Biello to give it to one of the veterans that he still brought along in Jonathan Osorio, who is, of course, one of the older heads, or if not the oldest on this roster at the age of 31, which is quite surprising for this national side, as we've always had players who are quite more so aging. But Jonathan Osorio is a player who still plays under John Herdman. He is a player who always brings leadership, and he's been around the side for so many years. I really think any of those players could have been the captain in the likes of Alistair Johnston, Alphonso Davies, and Jonathan Osorio would have even been a very interesting choice as well, but not my first choice. But guys, captain is a position and captain is a leadership role that sometimes we as supporters don't see everything that happens behind the locker rooms, what goes on outside the pitch. And it could have been a position that could have even went to someone, for example, like Maxime Crepeau. We don't know what happens on in the locker rooms. We don't know what truly goes on. But for me, Stephen Eustáquio is the most obvious one to take the captaincy armband as a player who is going to be on the pitch constantly, who shouldn't be subbed off, who has that passion, who has that drive, and leaves everything out on the pitch, no matter the situation. And I think everyone does for this national side. And this is a team I can't wait to see take on Trinidad and Tobago. But guys, this was On the Rise. Thank you guys. I'm finally back and I look forward to so much more content. It's been a long time without YouTube, but I'm very much excited to be back making content. Guys, hit that like button, drop a sub, and I'll see you guys for the next one. Peace.